About the construction of this, but basically what they did was basically put in these huge pillars, these piers here, and then the Mancunian Way rests on top of it, and it is built as it looks. It's like little slats, and it functions like a suspension bridge that running within these holes. And through it are these huge iron cables which are pulled tight, and sort of slats are kind of like pulled together like that. So it's a very tensile structure. So it's like a suspension bridge, but the suspension cables are within the structure itself. And this creates certain issues in the sense, certainly when we spoke to the City Engineers Department about trying to improve the public space around here, they won't let us touch the structure at all because they monitor it for micro fissures to make sure it's not collapsing. You might think, well, why is that an issue? Because they've built a suspension bridge across the Charlton fault line which goes up and down Oxford Road. So Manston does have the occasional tremor. There is a possibility that a particularly powerful earthquake will bring the structure down. If you bring down one bit of it, the whole lot will just go like a broken necklace. It's something to think about if you're parking your car in this area. The other thing about the Mancunian Way, and this is again talked about paradoxes, it's been described as Britain's lowest grade motorway, in the sense that you can't travel at 70 miles an hour because of these arcs, which they, for some reason, you saw the photograph, why didn't they just put a straight line through an empty site? And it looks like they put the arcs in because of for aesthetic reasons, but they're at such an angle that it mitigates against high-speed travel. And it was only until the 1990s that they put on high-speed impact barriers on each side. But prior to that, cars would zoom off occasionally onto the streets below. So again, it's like, you know, it was informed by this kind of rational planning, scientific planning, but its implementation is completely non-scientific. It doesn't have any junction rules, for example. And so thinking about this space here, I mean, what do you notice about the walkways, and how do you feel about the coming through the underpass? Cool. Well, fair enough. Yeah. Anyone else? Scary? Do you come here at night, maybe?
It feels like an afterthought. What you were saying about psychological and physical barrier. Okay, it gets the cars across, but then, oh shit, we need to get the pedestrians across. Yeah. Let's just chuck something underneath and make it look vaguely green. But it just feels a bit of a weird space, really. It doesn't feel very human.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing you got to remember is that if you look to this from an aerial photography perspective, what you actually see is actually a network of green spaces, and these were constructed purposely to be parkland. And we'll see this when we get to one of the other passes over there in a while, how this space can be reimagined as parkland space. Now to us that it doesn't seem like it's not Kew Gardens, is it? But I remember driving my great auntie around. She was a black sheep of the family, and she married a southerner and went to live in Hemel Hempstead. But she was brought up in this area. And I remember driving around in the early 80s, and her one response, she hadn't been back to the neighbourhood for years, and she said, "Isn't it green?" Because she grew up in that landscape of those terrace houses where no one had any front gardens or back gardens, there weren't any parks, there weren't any trees. All these trees here are post 1967. There's no mature trees in the sense of, you know, ancient trees in this area, because there weren't any. You know, all that agricultural land was built upon for industrial purposes. But you're right, put yourselves in the position of a younger person, a vulnerable adult, an older person who wants to go from their flat there to access the shops in Oxford Road. That becomes quite a problematical journey, particularly if the nights are closing in. You think about the illumination of this space, and then you think about these walkways here. Can anyone tell me what street that leads to there? What neighbourhood can you get to going through that walkway there? Possibly. But there's no signage, this is the point. There's no navigation here. If this space was properly managed, then they would be saying a sign saying Manchester Metropolitan University, City Centre, Castlefield maybe, Hume. Well, that navigation is not there. Local residents can navigate because they know the area, but people who've never been here, for foreign visitors, they're not going to use this space. When they find themselves in this space, they're going to get out of this space as quickly as possible. But so there's a question mark, well, what do we do with this space? Do we fill it in? Get rid of it? That is one proposal. The City Council would like to see these spaces eradicated, because if they filled in these bits here, they can create extra land and therefore sell that off to private developers or build monstrous advertising boards like this one. It's quite interesting here, we tried to do a light project here and the City Council went, no, the lights will distract drivers. Well, come and have a look. So there's this question about, what do we do with this space? Do we get rid of it? Or could it be re-envisaged? Could it be made into parkland? Could there be swings and roundabouts? Could it be an urban forest? Could it be part of a cycleway, a network of cycle paths? There's whole ways of other cities approach these kind of spaces much more imaginatively than what we do here. Right down to how you might think about the entrances, the lighting. Actually, some people would say the graffiti is a problem. No, it's great, leave it in. Encourage it. Have it all graffiti. Why not? What we find is, we've got a PhD researcher doing research on Manchester graffiti artists. And the younger graffiti artists will use this space to try out techniques, to learn how to become graffiti artists. Take it away, you'd actually take away a site of creativity for young people. So